Anyway, so when I was working on the super safety,
Super safe.
which is not mine, it's I don't know whose it is. It was just in my garage, but I was working on the super safety, and my buddy who was helping me with it was like, "Yeah, what are you gonna have this? Just gonna be a range toy fun gun?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, this is the they're in the walls gun. This is the like Ruby Ridge Waco stuff, like Billie Jean's either like dead and gone, or I've already she's already been escorted out, and the dog's out, and then now it's like, all right, I guess if they're coming in, like just fucking fill the walls, Swiss cheese, because I mean, like what else? Like what else? This isn't gonna be my recce gun. I'm not taking this to do like precision 400 meter shots.
400 shots.
400 meter. Yeah, 400 shots.
400
shots within 1 meter.
1 meter shots.
But it's also like, my flux, after running the flux with a lot of CQB stuff, that's definitely the platform, I think, for CQB engagements where you need to have like discretion, and you don't want to worry about over penetration, and you also like quote unquote indiscretion. I mean, like it's very covert, right? It's very easy to have that in a backpack and it doesn't print like an AR, whereas like 12.5 AR with the super safety, that's not what I want in a CQB environment where there's a lot of not bad guys. So I think that's probably, in my eyes, that's my final stand. You know what I mean? Fun boy gun. Because I can't really see a scenario where it's getting used outside of that, other than to be like, hey, you guys want to see something cool?
Yeah.
Hold this trigger. Hold this trigger, which scientifically moves forward and resets every single time. But it's going to feel like you're riding a motorcycle. It's going to feel like there's a motorcycle tailpipe between your legs. Yeah. Anyways, if you don't understand anything I was just talking about, welcome to the Mick and Pat show, where we're talking about a lot of just what do we say? We always say it here, the zeitgeist. We're talking about the stuff in the news, and right now Mick's just talking about how I enjoys working on guns and hanging out, having beers with a buddy while dremeling and
polishing.
Yeah, just making sure like things work together,
cleaning it up.
But I am a law-abiding citizen who is a good swimmer and is very safe with firearms, and I don't break any laws when I'm working on them. So if anyone's thinking out there that we're talking about something that sounds illegal, it's actually not illegal. It's all legal under federal and state law here. I'm a square. In that, though, you can have really fun getting right up to the line.
Yeah,
that's what I've learned. Like
right
without you don't need to break the law to have fun, but like it's most fun right there, right at the line.
Getting up close to it, gazing over the edge.
Yeah, and if for those of you who don't know what a super safety is, I'll probably have a video on it here soon coming out. I have 4 episodes of Mixed Miscellaneous edited.
Oh, nice.
And the only thing I need to do is decide the order in which I want to release them. 2 of them are just spray paint your gun episodes with talking about kind of most popular topics on YouTube, essentially, right? Like I'm just looking at like what's the most common thing video essay that people are watching. All right, I'll make a video essay on that with me spray painting guns in the background. And then the other ones are me shooting guns, also video essays.
Nice.
Some of those videos are going to be like tutorials on like basic stage practice, like how to get into competitive shooting and how to like practice on the range. But those will be a lot shorter and a lot more snippety. These are kind of long form, turn it on and have something play in the background content as well, like a podcast. video
Nice.
essay stuff. But yeah, anyways, I'll do one on super safety too because it was a total bitch to get working. It was insane, dude.
Took a few iterations.
Yeah, I was dremeling, totally ruined like 2 Dremel bits, and a lot of. Well, I just had to assemble an AR lower too. I had to build out my new lower to test this, right? Because you kind of want to have a dedicated lower for it. It's not a quick swap.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, it's fun. It's good. It's working. I'm a happy camper. Some other guys on the range today who were there are also happy campers because they got to shoot it too. But
you have to feel the freedom.
Yeah.
The how's your samurai practice going?
I'll be honest, I haven't done the stages practice for the samurai one in a minute on the range. I do it still probably 2 times a week is when I'm practicing at home dry fire because they're just my go-to practice. On the range, I've been practicing so I don't look like a FUD. I've been practicing our post certification drills.
I need to practice that a little more
because I don't want to be the guy to be like, hey, here's the standard, and then like fuck it up.
I've been thinking the same thing myself.
Hey, I'm going tomorrow. I'm taking one of our guys, one of our new guys on the security team to practice.
Oh, nice. The flyboy?
Yeah, that guy.
Nice.
Former flyboy.
Former flyboy. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that'll be good.
Wait, which one's the the actual guy who flies planes still. Yeah. This guy is the former fix the planes that people are flying.
Flyboys. Yeah, no, that'll be good. The I need to like I was saying before I started recording, I've not been hitting it as regularly. Just the life gets in the way of the activities. And I got to get back on the
been busy
back on
though.
so that I don't I don't want to look like a goofball.
Yeah, but you're also a business owner and you have gone down 3 employees due to seasonal shifts.
Yep.
They're coming back ish. But
or being replenished.
They're being replenished.
Yeah.
But it takes a while, and when you're in the busy season,
yep,
it's even busier.
Can't just leave work for an hour in the middle of the day and go shoot my gun anymore.
Yep.
That was a nice amount of time. We'll get back to that.
I do think when you join the range next year, it's going to be great for our friendship.
I need to fix it again. The spring
broke.
The spring popped off. I fixed it once before.
Oh, okay, right.
It's the our big prop pistol is
Can't believe you broke this.
It's not a
how many more times have you shot it than me? Do you come in here and shoot it during the week?
Oh yeah.
You bastard. You bitch. How dare you touch her when I'm not around?
So
it's a big old prop Lamat revolver. But yeah, if you join the range next year, well, in August, and we get to go to the range as much as we want without paying more monies, it's going to be great for our friendship. It's going to be brutal on our wallets.
The ammunition.
Yeah.
Gas.
The only thing that keeps me from going more now is not having people to go with.
Oh, yeah, because you don't want to just go by yourself and just blow it. You want to go.
I mean, I do like
you
going.
Want to do it and hang out.
I do like going by myself, but it is so much more fun to go with someone else and have like someone to practice with.
And work through stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm ready enough for that that post cert firearm.
Yeah. It won't be hard. Honestly, here's the thing. For people who don't know what we're talking about, post. Post is like the acronym for the Police Officer Standard Training Academy. I think that's what it is. Or Police Officer State Training Academy. It's the state standards in Colorado for police officer qualifications. You go to Post Academy to become a police officer, and part of that is you do a firearms qualification.
Peace Officer Standards and Training.
That thing. But it's here's the thing, guys. It's really not that hard, and you can look up what your state's peace officer standard training is. It's probably not going to be called Post everywhere. But if you look it up, and then you can see what like the expectation of police are held to pass a firearms qual, and then you could go like practice that and easily build up the same level of competency that is entrusted in, state officers, local county officers, all that. Now, a lot of cops do that and they don't do anything else. And those are the cops who suck at shooting and get people hurt and killed because they don't practice for, the worst day on their job. But then there's also a lot of cops who take it very seriously and go above and beyond or are super squared away and freaking tack drivers. And those are the dudes who are prepared for the worst day on the job. So I'm not saying you do this, you're as good as a cop, equivalent to a cop. What I am saying is you do this, it's a good standard.
It's a good start.
Yeah, it's a good place to start and then build off of. So once you're there and you pass it, you're like, okay, what's next? Honestly, I want to do, like, when you become a range member, I want to record us at the range, and I want to do every single law enforcement agency, like federal agency.
Oh, yeah.
And state agencies' firearms qualification exam.
See how far up you can get.
Because I hear the hardest one is the air marshals because of, like, it's like a lot of headshots.
I've heard that, and the OGS, or like basically the contractors for the CIA. Those guys.
Fuck. Can we get their standards?
You can't get the standards of, but
I bet we can.
We could probably like.
I bet I can pull some strings with some DoD guys.
Ask like to get close, But I've heard that one's like. I've heard guys who are like really good go to that, and then they're like, "Oh wow, this is hard."
Smoke break.
Smoke break.
Hey, Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution. Yeah, I do have a couple guys who I know are, like, I used to work with that are former Delta. And I bet Delta's handgun shit is just as hard. I don't know that, though. But I would bet. So I'll see if I could get those quals.
But I think it is similar to, like, the reason why the U.S. Marshals is hard. And I think the reason why that CIA operator contractor one is because it's usually for, like, hostage type stuff, or like, very close environments where it's like other, innocent people around you. Because if you're in a war zone, you obviously got to be like on it, but there's typically like a line, which is like that way's bad, this way's good. Versus like
on a fucking plane. 30,000 feet in the air.
And you're and you got to make it count.
That'd be cool. Speaking of which, I just painted my flux.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Is it cool?
I think it is. I think it depends on, like, I think it's cool.
Right.
But I think that...
You think it's gay?
No, I think I do. I like it. I think that it fits the Mick and Pat show vibe check.
Yeah.
Because it's got some retro looks to it.
I really wanted it to look like it is like, it's coming off of the, like, 80s Taco Bell styrofoam drink cup.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of pink, neon pink, teal, turquoise, maybe like Rhodesia brushstroke, but 80s synthwave.
Yeah, I think it does look cool. I think that if you just posted it online and just were like a random Reddit page and then just the comments would flow in of just like, I think you'd get a lot of hate for it.
I'm gonna fucking do it.
I'm not saying it's not
cool. I'm gonna do it. I think it's the coolest thing in the world. No, here's the real thing, man. Like I just had a vision. Like I knew I wanted to do something very synthwave retro. And at first I really was just gonna do that styrofoam cup design. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like just the Z squiggly line.
Yeah. And
it's like teal on the white background.
Yep.
And I was going to do that, but then I was like, that's too basic. I still wanted to have like some kind of like pattern to it. And so then I saw this pattern online, this synthwave camo brushstroke pattern. And I was like, all right. And I stared at it for hours trying to figure out how its layers were done, you know, and like in the image. And then so I went out and color matched everything that I could with spray paint and did it. And it was a huge learning curve because like neon paint is not great for when you apply a clear coat over it. It gets rid of the neon. Like all of this like darker stuff here is where I realized it was good. It was like bright like this neon color. And I clear coated over it and it went like a dark, almost like pink purple color.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I had to reapply the neon and stuff. But anyways, I like it a lot. I think it's bitchin'. And here's my thing. Here's the reason I really like it. One, I didn't know this until afterwards, but it's the same colors as the trans ally flag.
Oh, yes.
Which I think
is camouflage.
I think it's great camouflage, and I think in case I ever have
social
to use this,
camouflage.
Exactly. If I ever have to use this, it's going to get photographed and added to evidence. And they're going to be like, "Why'd you paint this? Do you think your gun is a toy?" I'm like, "No, but I am an ally." So let that be said for the record. That has no bearing on how I just shot this trans school shooter. Like, clearly I'm not biased. Anyways, dark joke. But then the other thing is that I do think it does disguise it from looking like a gun. Like, I think if I pull this up and, like, you're at 10 yards, it's not going to look like a gun. It'll look like a gun if it goes bang, bang. It'll sound like a gun. But I do think it will buy me just another second or two before a cop might pull the trigger and shoot me and give me that time to drop the gun and be like, whoa, I'm a good guy. Gun is gone. Gun is down on the ground. Don't shoot me. You know what I mean? And ultimately, that's like one thing we realized and we talked about in another episode of ours is like how easy it is to be a good dude with a gun and get shot by other good dudes with guns in the confusion. And I'd like this to prevent that from happening. Oh, but excuse me. I love it. There's a video of this that'll be going up, another Mixed Miscellaneous, where people could see everything I learned in the process and the pattern and style. I really do like spray painting guns. I think I'm going to spray paint all my guns.
Oh yeah.
There's just something very satisfying about it.
I think it's how you claim it as your own.
Yeah, and it's like it protects from rust, and
there's practical things too, for sure.
Yeah.
Like even the first gun I ever got is a Marlin lever action 30-30. So
you spray paint that?
Well, no, but but what I did do was I did take the wood off and sand it down and like re-stain it myself. And also before I stained it, I just like carved my name in the butt of the grip.
Nice. Of
the handle. So then when I stained over it, and then I didn't really let it dry right well enough before I like grabbed it and actually held it. But then it just looked really old now. Like looked all
like there's a slight like wear.
Yeah, it's
signature.
It's all worn where you hold it, you know. That's and now cool. I have like used it a lot, but so I just like, anyways, and it's got like it's cool when you have like, I don't know. Hope someday someone looks like when I'm 80, someone has that gun in my family and looks at the bottom of it and knows like. They see Pat on the bottom. They're like, "Oh, that's sick," you know, whatever. That was his. You know, that's like this was like, so this got etched in the bottom at the beginning of time.
Did you etch anything else other than Pat?
No.
Do you wonder? Like, I did hear a story about how someone inherited a gun from their grandfather
Oh yeah.
and scratched on like the bottom of the revolver's frame was like something like John's N-word like dealer.
Oh my God.
It was like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit. You just got Grandpa's heirloom and you find out Grandpa was a super racist bad dude. Like,
good gosh. Yeah. No, or you get, or if it's got, well, if you taking some notches in it,
yeah, that's cool. I did think about doing that with all my guns before I sell them, just putting notches in them.
It's just
so that way someone's like, well, like especially if I like sell it to a gun store on like what's the term where like you put it up for sale in the gun store, they get a
consignment.
Consignment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I do consignment,
yeah.
If you put notches on a gun, it's gonna sell so fast.
I know. The way I feel about notches is the same way I feel about like getting teardrop tattoos. You better have done it. That's all. It's like
yeah, that's some big talk, dude.
Just claiming it.
That's some big talk.
You better have done it. Oh yeah. What's this?
We also brought. Well, I brought. Which I didn't even think about this, but look, it kind of matches my.
It does match it.
All right, if you want to know the paint job of my gun, my Flex, look up "Blistering Eternity" by True Brewing. That's ironic. I didn't expect it, but that is like 1-to-1 color match. This is a new IPA by True. I don't think they've had it come out before seasonally. And we're not doing a review or anything crazy, but it's a classic True IPA. Troubadour, Truth, Rar, North Star, Pills, Flaked Oats, 7% alcohol, brewed in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. I don't know who was in Wheat Ridge. I guess I thought the Denver tap room was also the brewery. But I've had one of these already, like a couple days ago. I thought it was a really good IPA. I can't remember if it has much of a fruit flavor, but it's pretty good. And something to enjoy while we talk about politics.
The blistering eternity of politics.
The blistering eternity.
The question is, is the rest of eternity on this earth going to be blistering due to the lack of, atmosphere. and when you walk around, you're like Denzel in Book of Eli, just hoping to get some cat grease. Just need some cat grease to put on your lips. Because
it's actually a phenomenal song by the Postal Service. Do you know that song?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna play it because I don't think it will get copyrighted at this point.
All right.
I may pull it up and I'll pause my other music. But do you know who the Postal Service is?
I don't know that I do.
So the Postal Service was a band. Excuse me. And the reason they're called the Postal Service is because all the band members were in different states during college.
Okay.
And they would record their parts and their tracks and their lines and then mail them all to the lead singer to mix. And so they were called the Postal Service because that's how the band existed.
Yeah.
But they have quite a few like really great songs, in my opinion. And I think they only have technically 2 albums before Ben, the lead singer, created helped found Death Cab for Cutie, which a lot of the members from the Postal Service joined him in.
Okay.
But I do believe that Such Great Heights, We Will Become Silhouettes. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'll play this here for us. Some great lyrics here, as it's coming. But it's like a classic, I don't know, Cold War family picture in this music video, right? You guys should just look it up and watch the video. But this whole song is about like the nuclear apocalypse. At the cracks, and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, pretending the echoes belong to So he's like talking about like being in the bunker, right?
Yeah.
He's alone in the bunker, having survived the apocalypse. And he's pretending that the voices are, you know, his friends and family from before the bombs fell. When we become silhouettes where our bodies finally go. You know, because atom bombs turn you to silhouette on concrete.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on letting it play in the background, but there's quite a few great lyrics in here. And it's like that weird, like, optimistic tone. And then there's lines like, you know, when our bodies disassemble at a molecular level. It is.
It does sound like a little bit like Owl City.
Just shut your mouth. Owl City cannot hold a candle to this band.
I mean, like that light.
There's
vibe.
no emo wah wah whiny sound.
I think it sounds like a little bit.
Give me my beer back. I'm going home. Give me my beer back.
No, I do like it. I think
Fix my toy revolver. Give me my beer back. We can record next week.
Oh man,
dude, that's so offensive to me that I hate Owl City. Anyways, they have another really good song that is pretty good about essentially the complacency and potential like scheme of climate control, as well as it's like that song as well as the tangent of like the JFK assassination, and that the JFK assassination has so much like confusion and conspiracy around it, that what if the like truth is just that, a simple truth. And the lines like gosh, I'm trying to remember how it starts. He's like a man bored and slightly confused, just alone with something to prove, and he became famous on that day in November. I think it's like along those lines, right? When he pulled the trigger and sent bullet to sender, and it's essentially like just like how like that is that thing, and then like, you know, the U.S. government tells us like, hey, we should drive our cars less and stuff like that, and we should feel good about, you know, the like little bit of like pollution preventative nature we do. And he's like, but on the upside, even though that's not doing anything, at least the weather's changed so much that we can swim any day in November. And I'm like, that's kind of a neat lyric, right? And anyways, all of the songs are kind of like that like mid 2000s like post Cold War reflection songs, right? They're all like reflections from like a old millennial on like, hey, this is like the world we're inheriting pretty much. And like you gotta have like grim realism about like the post Cold War environment while also like being able to make kind of like light jokes about it, such as like very upbeat positive song about the end of the world in a nuclear apocalypse, upbeat positive song about JFK assassination and climate change. Anyways, sorry. You're talking about, we got on this tangent, and that song really reminds me of how I feel about all of this going on. Yeah, we've had last we've had a few things. What's hit was kind of kicking off with some of those, the LA riots were looking pretty wild, you know, a little bit, and then we had the No King's March in America, and then also the biggest, or, you know, definitely the most violent thing. You know what? I tell you, man. Glad we still don't have a king. It's crazy how effective that was. I don't think I've ever seen a protest as effective as the No King's March, because I can't find a king in America anywhere. It's super effective, like getting your COVID booster. I really thought I thought that after the No King's March, maybe we wouldn't have kings at a federal, nationwide level, but there'd still be like little state kings. Yeah. We don't. There's not even a county king. It's pretty wild. The only king I know is King Supers. Yeah. It's a local joke. But anyways, I agree. It was kind of, I was very, actually, I don't always do this, but when I do, I try to make sure it's as positive of a thing as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But the internet's pretty liberal. Reddit is super flaming liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Basically as far left as you could go before you start breaking the law. And they posted a bunch of stuff about how it was actually pretty peaceful throughout Colorado's like locations of the No Kings protests. And I just took a time to like comment on them like, hey, even though I might not politically agree, it's super cool to see a positive, peaceful protest. Thank you for being peaceful. Thank you for not destroying people's property. Very happy that there were police present to, you know, react if anything happened, and that they didn't have to do anything. They just got to stand around all day. And I got like very, you know, some people were like, oh, you disagree politically? And that's what they latched onto.
Right.
But a lot of people were like, yeah, thanks for saying that. It's cool to know, like, you guys appreciate our right to do this without it being like having to be contentious. I was very thankful. I was expecting it to get way worse in Denver.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean? So very thankful that it didn't get that bad.
Because since it was coming on the heels of the LA riots, which are, you know, like those were I was texting you that night when I sat there. I sat on YouTube for 3 hours.
Yeah. And then what? You went to bed for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I came into bed for a short hour. Was that before I woke up
That's
to fly?
brutal, dude.
But I was so locked in. So what was happening? So I was just like scrolling YouTube shorts or whatever. And then I guess, you know, this thing happens where all of a sudden it's like a live video is playing on my YouTube shorts. So I'm like, and it's like most of the time, like when like a live video pops up, it's like some dude just like playing his guitar really bad.
Yeah.
Or it's like some like random guy. Like it's just like the most like the YouTube live world is very random and super weird.
It is. It's super weird.
I mean, super weird. But this was all like, something was actually happening in this. And it was a guy was in LA filming, just walking around filming the riots, and the sun was up. It was like 7 p.m. when he was there. And there was what caught my eye was it said live, but there was 3 cop cars beneath an overpass with about 300 people surrounding the top of they were up on the overpass, hucking stuff down at the cop cars, like bottles, traffic cones, and big fireworks. They were throwing big fireworks down in the smoke. And so I start watching this. It's just this young kid, probably like 19-year-old kid. And I watched for 3 hours straight. And there was really not much of a dull moment for 3 hours. And during this, because as he was running to like, also all the people who were like on the live, he has a pretty small channel, like maybe a couple, like maybe 20K subscribers or whatever, but he had like 7,000 people on live watching him, and people were commenting in like where stuff was happening, and he would like run over there and go check it out. So it was like live reporting from like whatever people wanted to see, he'd run and go show you. And I mean, there was lines are starting to form, and there's people ripping railing out of the ground and building a barricade as police officers on horses and guys in riot gear are marching forward, and he's like right there next to it. And then people are throwing big fireworks into the crowd of police officers. But the horses are scattering, like it's kind of mayhem. I saw a lady get shot with rubber bullets. Like it was like all the highlights of the riot were just in this 3-hour kid's video. Then at some point, somebody who was against the riots ran over a person in the road.
That one, yeah.
Was it a minivan?
Well, I saw the one where the minivan, it was a van, but that van was an undercover, like FBI van. And they were shuttling someone they had arrested.
Oh, this was...
And like this person was like trying to stop that van from moving, and that van ran him over. And then I did see a couple other videos. I don't know. They weren't when the day you sent it to me. There was just a couple of ones coming out the last couple of days where people got clipped and ran over by cars because they were trying to block them.
This was like a random guy, and he was in a intersection, and he kind of like, people wouldn't let him through. He kind of bumped him, and then he just puts it in reverse, and he's just doing reverse like donuts. And while he's reverse donuting, on this live YouTube stream, people are just hucking stuff at the windows, blew out all the windows of this car after the person who got quote unquote ran over. They stood up and walked away and ran after him. But I mean, it was crazy. I thought I was about to watch the mob get this guy.
Really?
I mean, and they were blowing out all the windows in his car. He drove off, and it was just, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, so, and the fact that all that was happening on this one, like, whatever YouTube live stream, I was like, how many things are going on all over?
What's weird, man, is that every time you send me that video link, I would open it and I thought it was boring as hell.
Really?
I would just close it. Yeah. But I think, the reason I think that stuff is I'm pretty desensitized because I watched the live streams from within Chaz.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like watching people get shot with
It's
real
wild.
bullets.
That
was watching people like beat the shit out of each other.
Oh, yeah.
In the name of liberal unity, right? This is the craziest thing. And I think it was something like 13 people got shot and killed in Chaz. It's
That's wild.
Yeah, in like the 2 weeks it ran. I will never forget though, just like watching them plant the garden, like our community garden and food center, and then watching the homeless just come in.
It?
No, they stole it all. Some homeless people came up and stole all the food and all this, and then like they went to Twitter and they're like, "Please, any other volunteers come and help and supply us with food? It's all been stolen." And it's like,
by our comrades.
No shit. It's like, you dumbasses. Oh, dude, it was the funniest thing in the world. I felt bad for the people who died, but at the same time, I was like,
you shouldn't have been in there.
You shouldn't have not been in there. You guys should not have just been like, you guys, the moment some dude came in and was a like self-proclaimed rapper and also your self-proclaimed governor.
Yeah.
Like, dude, a guy walked in, I can't remember his name, but he was like, I'm in charge. And like, everyone was like, okay. Like
it was like
that's when people started dying.
It was like a faction of The Walking Dead. It's also like, guys, don't you realize the rest of America's just doing its thing? Like there's
everyone else is like, I'm going to work.
How are you gonna you're just gonna exist in this like street corner?
Yeah, the Chaz Chop saga will always be like, I swear they're trying to erase it because I've already talked to people who don't remember it.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how do you not remember it? That was the closest thing to a real insurrection we've had in the last like 5 years, 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Like that was more insurrection than January 6th, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Because it was an established zone where they were willing to kill police. And then they were killing people in the zone. I'm like, come on. Like, let's be real. Who died in the January 6th shit? Call a spade, man. Who died? A couple cops who suicided. One cop had a heart attack. I heard from and like running. He overexerted himself, which honestly not surprising. I've seen a lot of DC
one girl
cops.
Got shot by the cops.
Yeah, and one woman was shot by Secret Service and killed. Which tragedy, she should not have been shot and killed. There was no one who was armed in what's that? The Capitol building. There's no one who was armed in the Capitol building. I don't think there's any reason to shoot and kill.
And should they have stormed in there?
No.
But was it like a takeover?
No, but they were also invited. That's the crazy thing is like they stormed up the stairs and then the Capitol security was like, oh, okay, like come on in and just go that way.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what the fuck? Anyway, I just see that and I see videos of Chaz and I'm like, this was the craziest thing that happened in my lifetime probably was the Chaz Chop Zone. And then I guess I just saw all this stuff in LA and I was just like waiting with breath. I'm like, yeah, but when's Chaz 2? When's Chaz Chop 2? And I guess it's kind of getting close in Seattle, dude. Like the Seattle, Portland area. I've watched quite a few videos of the cops straight up running away with like out maintaining formation.
Oh my gosh.
And being overwhelmed by a crowd. And I'm just like, damn. Seattle and Portland police suck. Like they are terrible at their jobs. I always feel bad when I see the Seattle police roll up on bikes in their like bike suits. And they're like, stop, do not cross. Return to your vehicles. And like they're like slamming their bikes on the ground. I was like, dude, man, if I was a rioter, your ass be beat, bro. Like I'm telling you, like you ain't stopping nobody with your bicycle, dog.
Yeah.
Bike cops are the least intimidating force.
And it's gotta be so scary.
Yeah, dude.
On that end of things. It's literally like the scene
everything
from,
about me is based on balance.
It's like 21 Jump Street in the scene where they're bike cops
Yeah,
in the beginning.
park.
Yeah.
They're just like such a joke. They lose their mind when they get like their first arrest.
Oh yeah.
Just kids dealing drugs or something. Yeah. Anyways, all I said, I do think it's pretty crazy. I do think it's sad, the damage that was caused, and like how awful like the treatment of, you know, people treating their communities. I do think though that this is pretty impactful because this just made everybody, I think, who was like, I don't know, is it bad or good? Like, I'm not really pro people coming here and taking advantage of the system and, you know, not paying in to contribute to America. And I definitely am not pro, like, you know, bad people who are criminals coming over here illegally. But I don't know if I really agree with like rounding them up and deporting them. And this is like this is not Mick's opinion. This is, you know, I'm just saying hypothetical. People in the fence, people who are like, I didn't really like it when Obama did it. I don't really like it that Trump's doing it. You know, people who are like in that camp, I think they saw this and they're like, well, get them all out. I think all of them are now on the other side. All of them are like, yeah, get them out. Like so many people I saw who I never thought, and I'll say this, I'm not a proponent of deploying military to do policing. So like I was not a fan of the deployment of the Marines and National Guard.
Right. It was a little...
I understand why it happened and the precedent for it. I just still am one of those people who think like the military is not a good policing agency. But all that said, there was a lot of people I know who were like very pro for it that I would have never thought would have ended up there. Like people who are like lifelong Democrats would describe themselves as liberal. And they're like, yeah, it's got to get this under control. These people, these are clearly just like a criminal faction that needs to go. Like they have no care for our country. And I was like, damn, yeah, that's crazy. Bad behavior pushed them over. So all that said, I thought it was pretty fascinating. Was there anything? I don't recall like deaths. I don't think there was like any reported like people died, right? Like there was no cop that ended up getting killed, right, in any of this, from what I understand. And I don't remember there being like any actual shootouts or anything like that anywhere.
Not like everything that I'm looking up when I look up deaths of LA riots is the Rodney King stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
A lot of people died during that.
Yeah, 63 people died in that, and 2,000 were injured, and
I bet it was more than 63, arrested. Bro. You know what I mean? I bet a lot of people just weren't found.
Yeah, but the I think so. It was a relatively peaceful protest in that sense. They just burned a few cars and threw some explosives at cops, and you know, ripped up stuff out of the ground, but.
It's crazy that stuff happens like that in LA and all that. You never see people doing that shit in Florida where the cops are like, I'll fucking kill you. Like,
did you see that one sheriff?
Yeah. It's always that sheriff that says stuff. He's like,
he's like, if you point a weapon at us, if you throw a brick at us, we will be notifying your family where to pick up your remains.
Dead.
It's like, oh my gosh, bro.
And what he's told, he's like, all Floridian drivers, you have permission to run people over even if it kills them. I was like, like basically just deputize the fucking county. He's like, y'all get to run bitches over, deputized. It's crazy to me.
Goodness. And I do think with the mass deportation stuff that's going on, what I do think is unfortunate about the approach would be, I do think it's a quantitative, not qualitative approach, meaning like, and they are, again, ICE and stuff is targeting like known like gang members and stuff too, but it's still like, I do feel like probably at the top, it's like, and it's been like, you know, put out from Trump and stuff too, like, you know, talking about it as if being like, this is the largest in history of mankind. This is going to be the biggest, you know, and
which is crazy because it's still like, what, 4 million behind Obama for his second admin.
Is that how many he pulled out? We'll have to look it up. I really have no idea for him.
I think Obama got 8 million in his 4 years deported.
He just kind of was.
No one gave two fucks.
He just kept it cool and talked his cool talk. And
that was the craziest part about Trump's first admin is like he was just keeping up with it. Like his first admin, he just maintained the border policy. Everyone was like, he's separating parents from children at the border. And Trump was like, that's
just what we were
doing. That's Obama's policy.
Like, I showed up and that's what we were doing.
We're still doing that. We're just doing what he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy how the narrative changed.
For sure. And I think that some of like, there's a handful of people who have been like grabbed who maybe shouldn't have been or whatever, or like have made their cases like have gotten really big. And so people have latched onto those. And I do think that
I still haven't found one that was true.
That's what I was about to say. I don't think that I think they've been latched onto quite a bit, but I do think in general, you do have to be careful if you're going for just numbers, not quality. Meaning, like, I'd rather have like 50 Venezuela.
You'd rather have Jose and his family, who are good people, that want to contribute to their community,
stay here and get some Venezuelan gang member, whatever.
Then
get
Muerto Blanco, who's got black teardrops on his eyes, and he doesn't work a job.
Right.
And he goes to Jose and extorts Jose's day money.
Exactly. So I think that's where you got to be careful with the going for the mass deport versus focused. And I'm not running the show. I don't know what they aren't doing. I'm sure there's a lot of people are very there are people out there who are conscious of that. But during his 2 terms in office, the Obama administration formally removed approximately 3.1 million non-citizens from the United States.
I saw an 8 million number somewhere.
Right,
maybe, let me check.
But even still, I mean, that's still a lot. That's still a ton.
What's Trump at now?
Let's see. I'm looking it up. And how much has he done? And so I think that also part of it being just like the approach matters too. Like, remember I showed you that, and I talked about it on the show, but the Instagram video I showed you, it was the ASMR video of like deporting illegals that was put out by like the White House. Did I show you that?
Yeah.
But
that was not good optics.
It's just like bad. Guys, like don't that's not helping. That's not helping any of the cause here. They say it's difficult to ascertain on the old AI. So
I got another one here from NPR, I think. No, not NPR. Migration policy that's like estimating around 5 mil.
Okay.
So I don't know what the consensus is. And you know what? Maybe the numbers of deported versus illegal immigrants deported is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe people were here illegally and then got deported because they broke the law.
Right. But I do think, in general, I don't think that it's historically, it's not like we've had this isn't it's not unheard of to not let people in your country who don't come through the legal channels. And that's not just American history.
No.
And that's current history anywhere else in the world. So it's like, and
the craziest thing to me was when I was in Norway.
Yeah.
I was working with some asylum seekers in Norway.
Oh yeah.
And immigrants to Norway that were sent to Norway by the European Union and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were telling me about the classes in Norway. And Norway says like you have to assimilate in Norway to Norwegian culture, and if you fail the assimilation tests, they will kick you out.
Mm-hmm.
Which is insane. Like Norway has classes for Muslim men to re-educate them on like the standards of treatment of women in Norwegian culture.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't agree and sign like the paperwork saying like I understand how like I'm expected to treat women and all that, they fail and they get deported.
Yep.
Which I'm like, good, bro. Like, if you were moving somewhere for a better life, you need to assimilate to that culture. Wherever you're coming from, that culture clearly has issues. That nation has issues. You're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever you're going, the craziest thing is like, here's my biggest thing, right? Here's the way I view it. Because people are like, no, but culture's important and all that. I'm like, it is important, right? But imagine I walk into Pat's house. I'm a guest in Pat's home. I'm the guest in your home. and we're getting ready to do dinner. What's dinner look like in the Pat household with little Pat 2, little Patricia, and Mace Windu?
You know, like on a good dinner night, we've got some asparagus, bread, and some rare to medium rare steaks.
Yeah.
Some baked potatoes, and we sit down. And we also we do, when we sit down, we pray before we do it.
Nice.
And then we pass the food around and we eat.
Yeah. Now imagine that's happening, and if Mace Windu or the children reached for that food before I did, and I slapped them as a guest in your house, and then you were like, "Whoa, Mick, what the fuck?" And I just like, "Oh, in my culture, I get to eat first.
Yeah,
children and women get to eat second." Yeah. Don't you agree, man? We're men. We should get our helpings and eat first, right? Can you, like, and then you'd be like, okay, well, in my household, I beat your ass for hitting my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what it'd be like. And like, I just don't understand how that doesn't apply to immigrants of any kind. Like if I'm an immigrant from here to Asia, guess what? I'm going to try to be respectful and assimilate to that Japanese or Chinese culture and expectations as much as I can while I'm a guest there.
Yeah,
I just really am. Even if I disagree with it, I tell you what, if Billie Jean and I went to Middle Eastern country and we were moving through other areas of the Middle East that weren't maybe as quote unquote progressive, she'd be covered up in that khalifa, dude.
Dude,
is it khalifa?
That as in whiz.
Yeah, always go with that khalifa. What is it?
Kufiyah.
Kufiyah, yeah. Damn.
Or a hijab.
That was... That'll get me canceled. But she would be covered up for sure. And I'm just like, yeah, because you know why? We're in someone else's home. And these are their expectations. Even though, honey, you're a beautiful person, and yes, I get how this is oppressive. Shh, do not talk to me unless I speak to you.
Yeah.
We have to follow that one, okay? You know what they're going to do to me if they see you chewing me out in public? Okay, speaking of that, Middle East, Israel and Iran.
Oh, yeah. It's getting...
Now, as we have a resident Israeli expert here, or, politics of Israel. Pat, what is your interpretation of what's going on? Because I here's what I understand from someone who knows no one in Israel or anyone in Iran. Iran was had access to enriched uranium to the level needed for nuclear power, which is, to what I understand, is like 30x enrichment from the natural isotope of uranium. You enrich it to 30x, and that is enough to do your like nuclear power. They were enriching it like 60, 80, 70x, which is what you need to start making basic nuclear bombs. And they were caught pretty red-handed with it from a third party that wasn't Israel that like reviewed, because the way they reviewed is they like review the radiation half-life at they're reviewing the radiation, which the radiation is a result of the uranium's half-life during enrichment, and they observe that radiation in beakers and vials and test equipment that was used for enrichment. And when they did that, they're like, oh yeah, shit, this is some hot stuff. This is the stuff that like you put in a bomb. This is not what you use in a nuclear power facility. Yeah. Israel had that information then and used it to do the preemptive strikes, which I'm going to say in quotes preemptive, because it wasn't that long ago Iran was dropping missiles on Israel during its interaction, like during the war with Hamas. And so it really has only been like 3 months since Iran fired those missiles. Israel returned fire, and then it kind of stopped for a minute. Now Israel was like, all right, we're doing a preemptive strike to take out the nuclear facilities, the nuclear scientists, head of the nuclear program, and Iran's like leading military experts and leaders. And we're doing this because we have to, because if we don't, then Iran's going to have a nuclear bomb and we're going to get nukes in the Middle East.
Yep.
And a lot of people are like, that was unfair. Iran was like, that was unfair. Iran fired missiles back. Iron Dome did its thing. Israel fired missiles back. Gave warning to the people of Tehran way ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's word on the ground that the Iranian military, as well as some of the more extremist Islamist groups in Iran,
Mm-hmm.
are shooting people when they try to leave Tehran. Like, they're trying to keep them there to be civilian casualties to justify whatever they're planning.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've heard is also what happens in Gaza at times with Hamas.
Where they didn't allow people to flee.
So all that said, that's what I know of it. And then last night, Iran was like, they have a Twitter account, which I think is the worst idea to have if you're a radical, like, military terrorist organization, is to have a Twitter account. It never paints you in a good light.
Yeah.
But they were like, the world will be surprised by what we're about to do. It will be remembered for a century. I'm like, I now want to see the nuclear bomb. Like, that's a big talk. Like,
right, they're saying stuff
you got to
like,
back that up. Dude, that is this. You know what you just did? You just put a scratch in the gun, dude.
yeah,
You put the tier on, and now you need to freaking back it up.
yeah.
I guess also, too, the threat's gone valid enough that today Trump released a statement saying that it's a final warning and they have an attack plan in place. So it seems like things are escalating. All that said and done, what do you know, Pat? What can you clarify? This is all my rumor has it intelligence.
No, a lot of that lines up, and like a lot of people want to get into like the who did what first, and that becomes very big, like chicken and the egg type of thing, and then you gotta go back like whatever. Like, but the it's been heating up since October 7th attacks, and Israel has been doing some strikes in Iran. And what was surprising was when this time that Iran was sending missiles to Tel Aviv and into Israel, you know, the Iron Dome and David's sling system that is Israel's main defense system for taking out incoming fire, really is like very successful against Hamas rockets. You know, and a rocket and a missile are
way different.
So different.
Yeah.
And whereas
rocket you made in high school.
Exactly.
You didn't make a missile in high school.
Yeah. And so the one of the videos I did watch a video of, I meant to send it to you, it was a video of the was of a missile hitting a refinery. An Iranian missile hit a refinery in Israel. And it's crazy because you see like lots of rockets and things are coming in, and the Iron Dome is just like knocking stuff out of the air, and you can see it all happening. And then from like out of left field of camera, it's just like,
that was a good sound.
I mean, it just like everything else is, you just see it, and this just like just in a split second,
fast.
it just rips through the atmosphere down into there, and just it's like,
That's the difference of like a explosive carrier, right? Something that is carrying explosives going a couple hundred miles an hour, and a
Mach 10.
Yeah, something going faster than the speed of sound. Going in the neighborhood of over 600, faster than a passenger airplane. And going like 700, 800 miles per hour. Oh, probably over 1,000 miles per hour. And just like cratering faster than you can register it.
Yeah.
It's that I think I did see that video. That one was pretty nuts. That one was, I was like, I had to look up and just make sure it wasn't AI.
Right.
Because it seemed out of a movie. It seemed like CGI. Like that was the closest thing I've seen of it.
It looked like a movie. You're like, oh my God. And it was, and so it's pretty, stuff's getting turned up. And, Trump's like, he just says stuff, man. Like this, the one he was quoted on was, they're asking like, so are we like going to join in? Is like America going to join Israel in the attack against Iran? And Trump says, I like to make a final decision 1 second before. You're like,
crazy.
You're like, all right, bro. That's not helpful. But also it's like, that's kind of how he does his thing. You always wonder with him what sort of stuff is like verbal politics, tactics, and what stuff is just him just like, no, that's actually how he rolls.
I will say I thought it was, here's the thing, man. Like, I think Trump is a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got bad traits and good traits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to defend him, right? Like, I don't feel like the president of the United States needs me to defend them. I'm not also going to be a like fanboy bootlicker and be like, just some people worship the guy, right?
Right.
I personally like most of what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I personally agree with most of what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. Sometimes he says stuff that's crazy out of left field. The thing that I thought was like the most badass shit when he was like, yeah, we know where the leader is. We know he's in a bunker and he feels very safe. But we could take him out any moment.
Yeah.
This is just why we're asking for peace. And I'm just like, damn. Like, it's one thing to know where the guy's at. It's one thing to know where the guy's at and not tell him, or he not know you know where he's at.
Yeah.
Bro, it's another thing to like, it's like that classic meme from like, did you ever play Xbox Live?
Yeah.
It's that classic meme, like you run your mouth and send like a, like, oh, you banged your mom last night message to someone on Xbox Live, and they just respond with like coordinates, longitude, latitude. And you're like, oh my God. You know, and I thought it was pretty big. I thought it was pretty sick.
Oh yeah. And it's I was going through his tweets here. Yeah. I mean, and the other one, you know, so he left the G7 summit early, and he said, and when he was leaving it, he basically tweeted, you know, hey, Tehran, you need to evacuate. And then and then at the same time he tweeted that, China was ordering their citizens in Israel to leave. They're like, hey, it's time to leave Israel. So, and then
I wonder how many Chinese are in Israel.
I don't know. There
can't be that many.
They're kind of everywhere, bro. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I feel like there's more in Russia. Like Russia and China seem to be good buds.
For sure. There's a lot here. A lot of Chinese
guys
here.
Chinese here. I like the Chinese in America.
And a lot of them.
I like Chinese Americans.
Yeah, but there's a lot of Chinese citizens like working at our like government facilities, and it was kind of wild.
That is kind of whack.
It's pretty wild. Like,
how can you be a citizen of China and have top secret clearance? That doesn't seem like that makes sense.
Sounds like we messed something up there. Yeah. But so also they're ordering. There's a spot in Iran that's one of their nuclear facilities. Like, Israel military is like, hey, you guys need to evacuate here. And so everybody's telling everybody to evacuate everything. And I just don't know if maybe I missed it, but I don't remember a time where like people have been saying this back and forth a lot of like, hey, you need to get out of here. And then it's all been bluffs. You know what, like I haven't, like, maybe I've just missed it. Yeah, maybe I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know if you can remember times of this, but I'm just like, all right, these are escalations of like, and it means like we're about to drop some serious stuff in here. Like, it's happening. Gotta leave. Like, so I don't know if it's just a tit for tat, back and forth, saber rattling, or, you know, kind of jousting back and forth to see, you know, who will retaliate or who will escalate. But it's going to, what typically happens, what we always see, especially when people mess with Israel, Israelis die, a few of them.
Way more other people die.
And then a lot of other people die. And it's already happening in Tehran. And then at the same time, you can never trust, like, Al Jazeera's numbers are throwing up on, like, citizens who've already died in Tehran, you know.
Yeah,
stuff.
But Al Jazeera, you know, there's like funded by Al Qaeda. Isn't that fucking crazy?
I mean, it's pretty wild. It's funny, over here we're worried about like, hey, is that like a left leaning or like conservative. It's like
you can see Al Jazeera received a donation from the official org Al Qaeda.
So there's the way that things are painted in certain lights, you never know what's really happening. But at the same time, I do think Tehran got hammered when Israel retaliated from those attacks in Tel Aviv. And I don't know what we're going to see over the next couple weeks. I think the stock market went up the last 5 days. So
yeah, because everyone's buying Raytheon, bro.
Yeah, so
everyone's buying Raytheon and Lockheed.
So I don't know if that's a sign, good or bad sign. But
I don't think
my cynical self would be like, oh, tech companies and weapons companies are like, it's just typically, like, I'll say this: whenever other like tragedies or things strike, or any like, even if like Elon or Trump tweets something mildly, that causes upheaval, stock market just crashes the next day, just takes out, versus like everybody else being like, evacuate, we will not tolerate this. Like the Iranian like Senate or whatever they have, is there was a video of them, they just burned an American flag in their like Congress room, or I don't know what they call their thing, but like while they all chant death to America, they're leaders. Yeah. You know what we're not doing over on Capitol Hill?
Burning an Iranian. No, find me someone in America that's been burning an Iranian flag in the last like 10 years.
And a public official, much less. Like
someone
saying
death
to
Iran.
Right. Yeah. Could you imagine like how the reaction would be if we had everybody chanting that? Anyways,
it's different, bro. It's different.
And what I think is interesting too is people don't want to accept that it's a religious war. Now, that is, people be like, get a little like, so you're saying like crusade around that. It's like, well, maybe it's not a religious war for us, but at least one side of this is. Like,
call a spade, man. Believe people when they tell you who they are. I have met 2 Iranian Christians, and I think they're the only Iranian immigrants I've ever met.
Oh yeah,
they were immigrants in Norway, and they told me never, ever trust an Islamist. Never ever trust someone who truly has said they believe it is justifiable to kill and wage war simply because someone is not a Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, yeah, duh. And like, but that's the thing is like, here we are today, and 50% of the country doesn't believe them when they say it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like, it is bonkers to me. I don't think that belief is reason for us to go over there and get involved in the sandbox again.
Right.
I got Middle East fatigue, bro. I'm worn out, dog.
Yep. That'd be the next side of this, which would be, what is our obligation and or what's America's future in the area?
Part of me is like, this is going to be unpopular too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it many times. I've said it probably like 4 or 5 times before on this. I have no personal obligation to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we should provide aid to anyone who's in need of humanitarian aid, like, which I do believe we've seen done, like the amount of money we've sent to Israel and Gaza and stuff to help with the crisis over there in the war. Is like, I think that's good work. I think that's good stuff. And I imagine like there's going to be U.S. aid going to whatever the fallout is for this in Iran, which is just crazy. You know, that we would be giving them aid as they chant death to America, but we do. And we've done it in the past a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good thing. Like, I think it's good to turn the other cheek and offer aid. I have no interest, though, in our nation sending young men and women to die in the sandbox again for another country. Now, maybe the WMDs are real. Maybe they're real this time.
Yeah, let's say that.
And so then it's like a little bit more of a justification. Be like, yeah, we can't have insane, radical, religious warriors having access to nukes to just nuke whoever they want. Because honestly, that's the thing, right? Is like, if you truly believe in that religious philosophy of it's justified by God to kill these people by the tens of millions, and you will be rewarded for it, then there is no consequence for your action. Which, on the flip side with Christianity, like, there's no verse in Scripture, old or new, that is a like forever statement from God justifying Christians to murder. Like there's none.
Right.
There is a few verses on like self-defense and when it's justified. And then there were times recorded historically in Old Testament where God said like, hey, this city, wipe it out.
Right.
But there's no forever justification in the Old Testament or New Testament for like Christians being, or Jews, right, for having the right to go and just eradicate a people. And that's the sketch thing about Islam, bro, is like in Christianity and Judaism, I'll say Judaism in the context of the Torah, because the Talmud says a lot of weird stuff. But there's nothing that like morally says it's a good thing or that it even be rewarded. And that's why I think like the concept of doing something like that is at odds with a lot of people's like religious morals, Christian morals, Jewish morals, because if you did that, it would be at odds with like what God says those people are, which are his children created in his image, right? Versus Islam, which says like they're heathens and irredeemable. And it's actually like my command to reward you for waging a holy war on them. And that's the huge difference.
There are definitely differences. And as far as like what America's future looks like in that area, I don't know what is going to happen.
Would you be okay with like what would you be okay if it was like, all right, sending boots back?
No.
Yeah, it's terrifying, bro.
And I could break that down a few ways, which would be one, like, from here we could hit a few buttons and suppress them pretty good.
Yeah.
So there's like, there's the, am I opposed to knocking out their nuclear facilities? I don't know. I need to like look into that more like myself. Yeah. It's like, does that mean that the power there, do they have a nuclear power grid? Does that mean like there's starvation? I don't know. Or like, is this actually a place?
What are the consequences? Yeah.
Or is this actually like, like a 1980s movie where the evil nuclear lair, like, yeah, take it out, Yeah. So, I think that, the hard thing is also Israel has not ever ceased their need for conquest either.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's the hard thing too, where it's like, you don't see
peace in the East.
Yeah. And this gets back to what we were talking about Zionism versus,
Judaism,
or versus, Islamists, where you just go like, is it at a certain point, do you just have two sides of a coin? Is it the same? Yeah. Is it the same thing? Once you get to the ultimate ends of both things, right? And I do think there is, I think Israel is typically in a responsive posture outside of like a Palestine-Israel conversation to its like neighboring countries. Israel is usually in a responsive posture. And then, so there's that. And so I think that we'll see. And also, America's involvement with, it'd be the same way that as we painfully left 2020, Afghanistan, it's like, and, it's just another, so just, basically, no, I don't think we should be having people, especially en masse over there.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I'd say, send some soft guys with some Israelis, whatever.
Why even send them? Just send some really nice, drones.
Just because they want to get after it a little, just but versus like, spinning up the war machine.
Let the dogs out.
Right. Just like, so, and I think it needs to be more heavily considered. It always feels like, I don't know of the wars we've gotten into of like how heavily considered it is. I could say I see World War II as, and there's actually arguments to be made that we shouldn't have even been involved with that.
Sure.
But I do see that one as one where it's like fairly clear cut, like, had a clear purpose and ending and and a goal and that it's achievable, as well as like
Pearl Harbor
especially
was
after
also,
Pearl Harbor were attacked and drug into it further, and so then, and those were two different wars in their own ways, but like, where you could see, okay, like, yeah, that was good. But ever since then, you look back and it's just like, all right, like, where's the real justification for getting involved in these conflicts that have nothing to do with our, us. And at the same time, though, you do, like, now that we do live in such a global globalization has come to nearly fruition. We aren't all on the same currency and on the same stuff, but at the same time, it's like it is so intermingled where it is like, okay, if you don't go fight communism back past a border or this country, then how much is it going to come through? I don't know, but no,
I agree with that.
So it is hard to say, like, that it's not worth it to, whatever, a Korea or whatever, but at the same time, when you're just doing these mass bloodbaths with, nothing to show for it, it's like, if we're going to go to war, we just better get, like, a lot more land and resources and, like, I don't know, like, just some old style, like, just some old style Risk or whatever, you go over.
You mean like the board game?
Yeah,
Okay.
you just you go to the next country over, take it over, take their stuff, grow your empire. I'm not saying I'm for that. I'm just saying, like,
But we don't see that anymore.
Right.
Like, we see it. I think, like, the next time we'll see it is Chinese economic takeover.
And that's where it's hard to go. Now, is fighting these little proxy wars and these little things, is that the same thing? Like, is it actually adding, like, huge protection that we didn't realize how important it was for, the Donbass region to not be under Russia's control or whatever, these little things.
Yeah. And, no, I mean, there's nothing you said that I disagree with either. I was just kind of looking stuff up to try to see, like, any, like, devil's advocate counterpoints. But, like, I don't have any that I really think are worth it. I think the biggest thing is that when we, talk about the impact that this could potentially have on us, it does look to me like it seems like there was something Putin said about the U.S. involvement. He, like, tweeted it, which I also hate this trend of our leaders tweeting.
I know, it's can
like,
you guys just pick up that phone you have in the Oval Office again?
Quit
and, like,
measuring dicks and just, like, hit the phone. But it's one of those things where I see this and I'm just like, does this really, really feel like the catalyst potential to be World War III? And if I'm being honest, I would say it doesn't quite feel that way. I feel like Israel is pushed a little too aggressively, and that the U.S. is... I think the U.S. would sooner get involved in another quote-unquote, like, Ukraine-Russia thing than a, like, Israel eternal war in the Middle East for peace.
Right. This is where the borders have been crossed and things that take it, like,
And I just genuinely think that, like, Netanyahu, too, has really burnt bridges with Trump before. Like, Netanyahu has really said some things that I think made Trump feel, like, insulted. And I do think Trump has also heard the criticism of Netanyahu as a leader and that there might be a better leader in Israel. And I do think that, like, in a super war situation that he... Trump may just be like, we're not going to get our people involved in a military way, but we'll get involved in trying to, like, get this over as quick as possible and, like, protect innocents and get them out way. Yeah. And if there's a change of leadership, then, the conversation might begin again. Right. And I don't know. I have nothing. I'm betting against the fate of the world, right? Like, whatever direction it's going to go down, but I just don't get the vibe right now that this is World War III. It feels too personal between the two nations, and I truly think we need something like Israel crippling Iran, and then China straight up just firing missiles from China at Israel. And then it'd be like, oh, okay, all right, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Now, and we don't have to get into this episode, but the whole Chinese-Taiwan situation, I think, is way more likely to be a World War III catalyst because of how fragile our chain of supply of semiconductors and all that is coming out of Taiwan, and how crucial Taiwan is to the free world. And so I see that as being way more of a sensitive kind of World War III item than this conflict. But one thing I was doing, though, and again, this isn't like to justify anything, this is just interesting history.
Right.
I was watching videos on why there's a guy who made a whole documentary about why no one is accepting refugees from Gaza. No one's accepting Palestinians. And it turns out like the reason that other Muslim countries aren't doing it is because of the history of Palestinians. Like Palestinians as a like people have the same kind of stigma that you would assign to like gypsies.
Oh, throughout the
Middle East. And I didn't know this, but it was Palestinian refugees in what was it Saudi Arabia? I believe it was Saudi Arabia, or it was in Kuwait. That essentially like helped smuggle in the invasion of Iraq into Kuwait. And like they were the ones that just like helped them smuggle like the roads in, and it was Palestinian refugees that Kuwait had taken in that then turned on Kuwait to work with Iraq to smuggle stuff in. And that was like just one example, but like there's a bunch of different examples through history of like how and it's again like it's not probably all Palestinians, right? For sure it's not, but there's enough things that have happened with this people group after they were accepted into another country where they then betrayed that country in a like self-seeking manner of like, oh, we'll help this next regime change happen, and then the Palestinians will have a higher level of authority and ranking in like the caste system of Islam in this government. And that's why like Egypt don't take them. Like Egypt has straight up referenced that invasion in Kuwait as like, why would we want to do that? We don't want them to open the gates to Egypt. And I was just like, I was confused when I first heard that. I was like, open the gates to Egypt. That's got to be metaphorical. They literally just mean like opening the fucking gates to like an invading army to get through Egypt's border wall, which I was gobsmacked by. I was like, I did not know the history of this.
Yeah, it's the like they have those things have happened, and basically they have become a very
shadow,
like almost homeless culture, and especially as they've been occupied by Israel now, it's like really nowhere to go, or if they want to maintain their culture or history or things like that too, like if they all just leave, then they'll just kind of bleed into these other places. And so yeah, it's definitely it is a very sticky situation, because there are lots of places that don't, the bordering like Arab countries don't accept them or bring them in, and so then it's also kind of like, I don't know, for all the talk of like death to Israel, and like all that's like a little bit of hypocrisy, I think, from these
it's
big
not
nations.
just a little bit, it's it's a lot of hypocrisy,
right?
But it's also, I get like, it's, and the hypocrisy is coming from their justification of like, oh, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right? Which I don't know what people freaking expect. Like, we're talking about like, a lot of like societies and what's the term for a lot of intersectionality of society and religion and ethnicity and history and all that intersecting, and it's intersecting in a culture that has still very much medieval, almost third world caste systems. and like beliefs of, you know, there's still belief that like you are the way you are because of the color of your skin in a lot of those countries. You are the way you are because of the, you know,
your tribe, where you came from.
yeah, like your genetic history, right? And there's a lack of understanding that like, oh, you could be different because you're coming from a different cultural, even though you quote unquote identify as like Arabic or whatever, right? And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, dude. We're not talking about a culture that has the concept of like, oh yeah, anyone can be anyone, like they want to be. You choose who you want to be. If you want to be the lying, backstabbing gypsy, you can be that. If you want to be not that and just be like a normal person looking for a home and a life to like establish your little falafel shop, you can be that person too. Right. And like I think that's a very Western worldview.
Or even like to be like, because as Americans too, like we really are like, oh yeah, you could come here and then you can be an American. Yeah. You can't go to Egypt and be an Egyptian. You know what I mean?
You'll never be an American Egyptian.
Right. Yeah.
You'll always be an American in Egypt.
Right. Yeah. Like you don't go become an Egyptian.
Nope.
Because it's not in you.
Yeah. And
they're not wrong as far as like in the sense of not meaning they're not incorrect in that like they're like, yeah, this is like we're from here. We like this is like because the concept of like you're, you know, becoming like to be American, it's kind of new in the sense of just being like, oh, like, all right, you're in the club now.
Yeah.
You know, versus like, no, like this, like if you're Pashtun, well, that kind of like, yeah, because we've been living in these mountains for a damn long time. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. And I get you can justify it because of the cultural history and reinforcement. But that's what I'm saying is like, people are scratching their heads saying like, why aren't they doing anything? They're Muslim and like they're clearly being oppressed by like, you know, this Jewish state, and they want the Jewish state to die. Why not welcome these people from the Jewish state? And it's like, well, because they're Palestinian and they'll always be Palestinian, and we could never trust a Palestinian in our country. You know, there was like an interview I saw, and someone like they're interviewing someone in Egypt. I think it was just random people. I don't think it was like any elected officials or anything. But there's a guy who looked like a businessman. He's like, the only thing worse than an Israeli Jew in Egypt is a Palestinian Muslim. And it was like, damn, like that's some heat coming from a like Egyptian. You know what I mean? Not that Egypt. I don't remember. Has Egypt? Yeah, Egypt's gone to war with Israel.
Yeah.
Back
in the day.
Not recently, but yeah. Anyways, all that said, it's a delicate situation that is, I think, in no way, shape, or in no way, shape, or piece, our responsibility. And I say that in my limited 30-ish years of life experience. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything other to justify that opinion other than like my young life and what I can interpret from what I'm seeing now.
Yeah. And we'll just see which is weird to just kind of sit by and we'll see what people decide and then what happens, you know? Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I will say though, I do still fantasize about the, like invasion of America from a Modern Warfare 2 campaign perspective, right? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, if that shit happens, then it's our problem, right? But I'm almost at the point where I'm so war exhausted, so conflict exhausted that I'm like, are they in DC? Are they in, you know, freaking gunships over DC?
Right.
Are Russians and Cubans parachuting down behind the high school Red Dawn style?
Right.
No. Hey, then let's just work on our own shit here, man. We got stuff we got to sort out.
Yep. We can go corn and pump oil.
Yeah.
Here.
Exactly.
And make stuff.
Yeah, we need to anyways.
Might just have a few less crappy plastic items from Temu.
Yeah.
You know,
we could use less of it.
Yep. Have you seen, I don't know if it's real or not. I'm hoping it's not. I'm sure it's not. But this video that Anonymous just put out?
There is no such thing as a baby made of plastic water bottles, Pat. Okay?
Oh. What?
That's not a real video. Have you seen the commercial made by like someone made it with AI and it was like it's about how people drink like plastic and water, and then this dude and his wife have a baby and it's made out of water bottles.
Oh yeah.
Grows up to be a man in like business and then like tries to take out the board, John Wick style.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that.
It's pretty impressive that it's all made in AI.
Yeah.
Boomers are reacting to it on Facebook like, oh my God. I'm like no,
like as if it happened.
This can't be real. Like, I don't know if they think it's a movie or like if they think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But like some of the reactions are insane. You know what I mean? And I guess, you know what? Vows around before there was recorded media.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd think it was real too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyways, the stuff about the, what you say? The Anonymous?
This Anonymous video came out.
Totally irrelevant. I hate Anonymous.
Yeah.
They're such a cock tease. I remember when I graduated high school, they were like, we're going to dismantle the system.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And so I just think they're gay.
This one was coming out about saying something along the lines of a false flag attack is coming in America. You know,
who gives a shit? That's what we're all saying. All of us are saying that. This is clearly like, well, if I was a Mossad agent and I was like, damn, we're about to get our asses whooped by Iran and Iran's buddies, I'd be trying to figure out how to get some Iranians who will do the most wildest shit into the U.S.
Yep. And that's, so have you seen this video?
No.
Because that's basically what they're saying it's going to be.
You know what that also is? That's the plot of the like 4th season of Homeland.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Also,
you know
all
what I mean?
sorts of things. Yeah. It's basically saying they are alluding to like, alluding to false flag attack from our greatest ally, which would be alluding to like, Israel and stuff here. Anyways, when I say if it's real or not meaning if it's going to happen or not, it's just, I can never figure out with Anonymous, like, who's in charge of this thing?
I did hear
just a bunch of guys. Like, if you have a garage and a V for Vendetta mask, then can you just, now you're in the club and you can just say stuff?
It used to be one of those things where you used to like have to meet up with someone in like a public place where then they would like give you something to like vet you, and then you'd record yourself and provide the information or whatever, and then they'd let you know if you were in. This is what I was told when I was like going in chat rooms when I was in high school. Like, damn, I want to join these guys.
Right.
I didn't want to join them because I was like a freaking like communist or anything back then. I just was like, this is sick. This is the cool movie stuff where we like take over Times Square, right? And like broadcast on all the TVs, and we hack the system, and we're all millionaires while also giving money to the poor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so I was reading the chat rooms that people were just talking about how they had attempted to join Anonymous and given resumes, and they met with someone in person where they were asked questions on a park bench and shit. And then they were like informed like you were not allowed in. Like they were informed like you're not in. You didn't pass. However, Pat, look into my eyes. I know someone who works in the DoD who claims to have been a part of Anonymous at one point.
Wow. And
they said a bunch of them got cherry picked by all the agencies, specifically NSA. NSA came in and was like, you motherfuckers work for us now, or you're going to prison forever.
Especially the best ones.
Yeah, and so they apparently all are there now. And whatever's left over is like
chumps.
Like not even dudes who were in at the time, dude. It was like the whole Anonymous agency got cannibalized by the Fed. And whatever exists now is just people putting on and pretending. And like maybe they're organized, right? And it's one organization, but like it's not what the OGs were. Like there's no OG leadership with like a directive and a goal that was there before.
Yeah.
Now that's the claim of one guy saying he was in and did it and it was fun. And he said some things that was pretty credible, like what he worked on and stuff. But I don't know if it's the truth.
Right. No, for sure.
I will say the false flag thing does make me think a lot about 9/11. Did you know there's a certain thing we can't talk about on this podcast at all? Otherwise, we would probably get delisted.
I did.
It's about the building number that comes after 6 but before 8.
Oh, yeah.
We can't talk about that, actually.
You're not allowed to?
It's actually like AI moderated that if we talk about building after 6 before 8 on 9/11, we get in huge trouble.
That's ridiculous.
There's a really good video on YouTube by Flesh Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
He just does a lot of edgy, like, conspiracy videos about all the conspiracy around building after 6 before 8. And it's a very, very well presented, thorough, source cited video. This episode's gone too long. I don't want to play it because it'll take too long to play it and process it. But let's watch it.
But how does he get to put that up and we can't talk about
because he doesn't talk about it.
Okay, he
talks around it. But there's a lot of people who have tried to talk about it, and then their YouTube channel gets canceled and stuff.
Their family disappears.
No, not like that. They just like their channel gets deleted or their Instagram gets deleted, right? But how about you and I watch it, and then we could decide if we want to talk about it later on. I do really want to have another conspiracy episode. It's been like a year and a half since we had a dedicated conspiracies episode. But anyways, we talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of catch-up stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of catch-up stuff. Man, world's crazy. My world's on fire.
How about yours?
That's the way I like it. I never get bored. Thanks for listening, Ken. I hope you enjoyed it. I really don't care if you agree with Pat or I on anything. But I really do care about you enjoying the experience. I really do care about you enjoying feeling like you get out of this show listening and engaging. I hope if you disagree with us, you let us know. We're always open to learning and hearing other perspectives. But we don't put the show on in hopes that everybody just nods their heads. We hope that it encourages critical thinking and you ask yourself the own stuff, your own opinions, and you process it. Don't be an NPC. Have your own thoughts. Be your own person. Have good arguments for it and present those so that way you socialize and engage in dialogue with one another. Peacefully. Peaceful dialogue. All that said, Pat, you got anything for us?
Just till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.